Research. Network. Project. International.
L'Université de Lausanne, il y a quelques années, a fait un Memorandum of Understanding avec l'UICN pour pouvoir promouvoir des programmes liés à l'étude de la biodiversité, à la fois des projets de recherche ou des cours et des choses comme ça. Et dans ce cadre-là, PJ Stephenson, que vous allez voir tout à l'heure, en fait est devenu dans ce cadre collaborateur scientifique externe de mon groupe de recherche ici à l'Université de Lausanne. Et grâce au SNIS d'ailleurs, on a obtenu un subside pour étudier, mettre en place un projet d'étude qui est celui dont on parle aujourd'hui, c'est-à-dire d'étudier un peu quels sont les paramètres liés à l'étude de la biodiversité dont ont besoin les gestionnaires de l'environnement, les ONG et même les boîtes privées qui sont concernées par la problématique de la conservation de la biodiversité. Quels sont les paramètres dont ils ont besoin, quels sont les facteurs qui bloquent l'accès à ces paramètres et quelles seraient les solutions pour débloquer l'accès à ces paramètres.
So, a lot of different people need information about the environment, data on biodiversity. Governments need data on the country's natural resources to make policies and pass laws and set quotas. Companies need information on biodiversity to see how sustainable their activities are and to look at their supply chains and the impacts they're having on the environment. Conservation agencies need to know a little bit about the success of their work. So the state of biodiversity, where do they need to prioritize their actions and how successful were those actions? So in brief, a lot of different actors need information on the environment and on biodiversity in particular. But unfortunately, most people can't access all the information they need. They just can't find out where certain species are, how well certain habitats are doing, what is the level of pollution in this river. People don't always have the information that they need to make suitable decisions in whatever sector they're operating in. And so the reason we set up this research project was to try and understand a little bit more, why do these blockages exist? Why can't people get the information they want? What are the causes of this? And can we think of any potential solutions? So as a result of these questions, we set up this project. It's a very unique collaboration between two Swiss universities, the University of Lausanne and the University of St. Gallen, along with research bodies in Colombia, the Humboldt Institute, and in Ghana, the Center for Biodiversity Conservation Research at the University of Ghana. And what we've done is we've collectively looked at the literature, what people are already saying about what data people need and the challenges around it. And then we've done basically deep dives into each of our countries. So in Switzerland, Colombia, and Ghana, we have gone out and we've asked people who work in different sectors, in the business sector, in the government sector, in civil society, what information do you need? How much of that information can you get? And where you struggle to get it, what exactly were the blockages?
Bien, este proyecto ha sido muy interesante para Colombia. Es un proyecto que tenemos en consorcio con la Universidad de Lausanne y una universidad en Ghana. Entonces es muy interesante comparar los diferentes trabajos que se han hecho en los distintos países. Claro, entonces, por ejemplo, en las encuestas, en las respuestas lo que vemos es que muchas organizaciones, tanto privadas como públicas y de diferentes naturaleza en Colombia, usan mucho datos de registros de especies y distribuciones de especies, mapas de especies. Esto puede corresponder a que Colombia ha trabajado mucho en producir esta información, en tenerla disponible y abierta para los usuarios, entonces la usan mucho, frente a otra información que quizás no hay todavía una cultura de cómo ponerla abierta y entonces su uso es mucho menor.
Hay algo importante y más allá del instrumento y algo que hemos notado va como a la hora de hacer las encuestas, de hacer la entrevista, y notamos que desde el sector empresarial hay una disponibilidad inmensa, ¿sí? Que es bastante curioso, que va incluso, pues, contrasta un poquito con lo que uno esperaba sobre ese interés que tienen sobre los datos de biodiversidad en general, en cualquiera de sus categorías. Entonces creo que eso fue una experiencia bastante sorprendente y bonita, porque hay mucha disponibilidad del sector empresarial, por lo menos para Colombia, en este tipo de información.
Yeah, so our research has focused on kind of like two different aspects. The first of which is that we're taking a look at first businesses. What exactly are they able to measure with spatial data relating to biodiversity? So we've been taking a look at focusing like what sort of biodiversity spatial data can be connected to the location of the organization, and then from there, what can they be measured as far as ecosystems and species, so that way they can better understand their impact on biodiversity.
In the future, it would be important to think wider about policy implications. For example, there's now a lot of changes happening, especially in the EU, regarding corporate disclosure on sustainability. Biodiversity and nature will be a big part of that. But unlike climate change, which is relatively easy by now for companies to measure, there's still a lot of uncertainty around biodiversity. So I think this would be one future direction that we should be looking at.
Yes, we got some interesting findings. So for blockages, we ranked all the indicators that we presented to our respondents, and lack of funding emerged as the topmost challenge. And it cut across civil societies, government agencies, and university or research institutions. But in contrast, businesses had a different perspective. They said that they were unable to access data, and also data sources were unavailable to them. So that is one interesting thing that we found.
Well, for us, we work for the Center for Biodiversity Conservation Research at the University of Ghana. And so any data on biodiversity is important to us. One of our roles is to provide that sort of data for the government and for businesses. And the findings from this research are both very interesting and very valuable. Because, for example, for governments, Ghana has set aside protected areas that are expected to preserve representative samples of all the ecological zones in the country. Without data on biodiversity, there's no way we can know that we are succeeding or failing in terms of the protected areas. And if you take businesses, there are some businesses like timber companies that depend directly on biodiversity resources. Tree diversity. So if they don't have information on tree abundance, distribution, and diversity, you end up with a situation where certain tree species are completely overexploited and wiped out, and other species are underutilized. So this is what makes our findings extremely valuable.
What we've determined through this research project is the factors affecting the availability of biodiversity are very complex. But what we've also found is there are some key areas that everybody needs to work on to solve some of these problems. So we need to build capacity in different institutions to collect data. We need to find more funding and resources for data. We need to share data and make tools and guidance more easily available for people who need to collect new data. And so what we do as a follow-up to the project is to continue to explore. We will share our results so that people can see the key things that need to be done to address the blockages. And then we will continue to work with our partners in Colombia, Ghana, and beyond to try and come up with some solutions and fundraise for putting some of those into practice on the ground.